doesn't mix well with this lip gloss. Oh, what women do. What women sacrifice. Hi, Dan Dio. Okay. Good Thursday morning, y'all. Everybody. I don't know. I find these people that say y'all and I like it and I've adopted it and I have no Southern in me. Zero. That's okay. Oh, good morning. So I'm Becca. Hi. Where are you from, Dan? Dan Dio. Every week, Thursday mornings, I pop on, talk about the week in adoption. I keep it as real as I can. And I have to tell you, January has been a little bit of a mixed bag. On the one hand, we have welcomed in some amazingly beautiful, wonderful clients. And on the other hand, it's been a shit show in that I've never seen so many fall throughs. And, for the longest time, in the past couple year or two, we have seen that the longer matches tend to do really well because you build up trust but we've seen some long matches where mama changed her mind at the last minute too. And those hurt even deeper for the families. Like, no blame. A mom has every right to decide she just can't go through with it or for whatever reason, right? And yet, it doesn't seem okay in the public sphere to talk about the pain that a family experiences when that happens. And it's deep, especially if it's been a long match and you've developed trust and you've talked to each other and you've really gotten to know each other and you've quote unquote wasted all this time and then it doesn't happen, right? The way you are dreaming and hoping it will. And on top of the emotional roller coaster, you can lose tens and tens of thousands of dollars. Hi, find Molly. I love that. So I have, and it just sucks. I mean, we hurt right along with our families, certainly not at the level of pain that they are feeling. The light of that is that almost every single family we have worked with over the past 10 years, when they have gone through that pain of a disrupted adoption or of a fall through is what I call it, because there was never an adoption to be disrupted. So here's some terminology. There was never an adoption to be disrupted. So it's hard to call it a disrupted adoption. You can't call it a failed adoption for the same reason. There was never an adoption to have failed. So I call it a fall through. So it was a match that fell through. And this is a good time, actually. Let me hop on my soapbox. As I do sometimes. All right, this is me keeping it real. As hard as it is to hear and to really ingest, and especially given the pain that I just talked about that families go through when a fall through happens, when you connect with an expectant mom, we have started saying connected. Some people call it a match. When that happens, what you are entering into is never a promise of a baby at the other end. Oh my goodness, if you're watching me on Facebook or whatever, fireworks just went off behind me. I love it. It's never a promise of a baby at the end. It's never the promise that an expectant mom is 100% going to sign relinquishments for you to take over parenthood. It's not that. What it is signing into an agreement with a woman who chose you should she execute her plan. That's a better way of saying it. She has put a plan in place. She believes this is the best thing for her and her baby. Or maybe she doesn't, but she has to. And yet it's just a plan. It's just an adoption plan. Plans swerve, take wrong turns or right turns. Plans change. Plans fail all the time. It is a big risk in many situations. A bigger risk when it's a longer match. There's a lot of money to put forward, and that means there's probably a lot of money to lose at the end. Should she decide, while I thought this was the right path, it's actually not. I found a better path. I've decided to give it a try to parent. I can't go through with it as hard as it is. It may be what's right for the baby, but I just can't do it. Whatever it is, right? Oh, there's so many reasons. So you are entering into a plan that if she does follow through with it, you are the person she wants on the other end. That comes at a big cost for you as a hopeful adoptive parent. Is that fair? Well, I don't know if it's fair. That's just what it is, and that's how the world of adoption works. Is it fair for the birth mom, for the expectant mom? Is it fair for the hopeful adoptive parent? Who knows? Who knows what is fair, right? And there's all this new bills that are being put forward to try to regulate this industry a little bit more to become maybe more fair. But everything comes at a big cost. You are taking a risk. And that risk is not fail-proof, safe-proof, whatever it is that you're supposed to say there, it is a risk. So you have to decide when you're starting the adoption process, you have to, one, know that this is a risk that is real, and it happens, I would say, about 25% of the time. That number has gone up about 2 to 3% over the past 10 years. I used to say 20%. We're working with over 100 families at any given time in any of our 3 different services, from our online academy all the way to our Platinum Premier families. When you're working with that many people and this past year we had 84 families take placement, we are able to see from a pretty good, test, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyways, what those percentages are, because we're working with agencies all across the country. So if you're walking into adoption, you're thinking about adoption, you think about the fact that 25% of the time, the agreement that you are agreeing to be there at the end of a plan that may or may not go through, you have to decide based on all of the information you're given, including finances, including, the agency's success rate, including what you know about this expectant mom. Is birth father involved? Is he not involved? What are the laws? All the things. which is a lot to know, especially by yourself when you don't know what you need to know to make those decisions, which is why maybe working with a consultant is a smart idea to help you vet these situations. You have to make that risk assessment for yourself, knowing full well that at the end, this may or may not go forward. And if it doesn't, you are strong enough to keep going. You're strong enough to keep going. But you have to put those things in place and you have to think those things through before you start the adoption process. Nathan and Emily said we experienced this. So I have a question for you, and I'm so sorry that you experienced that. I know I was just taking something off the bottom of my sock that was bothering me. I know that had to have been painful in many ways. Did you go in expecting that was a good possibility and that did you have the mindset that this might happen and this is the sucky, shitty part of adoption and we're willing to take that risk and we know that we can move forward? Or on the other hand, this is another thing, and I'll step off my soapbox in just a minute or two. So hang with me. But here's another thing, if I can remember what my thought was. Oh, I know what it was. Preparing mentally ahead of time to know that this is a big risk and this is something is the shitty part of adoption that could happen. You have to decide before you start that if it does happen, you are not going to sit in a place of shame and blame. You can be angry for a minute or two, but who are you really angry at? It's not fair to get angry at the birth mom unless you realize you've been scammed. That's a whole different story. But you have to do the best you can in that moment to take it with grace and understand, okay, this was a risk and this was hard and we're feeling a loss and we're feeling grief and we're feeling anger that, because that's natural. But not at her or not at any specific person that, everybody did their best, hopefully. Unless something specific happened, that derailed it or that she did something to you. I'm not talking about those situations. But on a whole, just an expectant mom who changes her mind, you can't get so angry and start blaming people for that because that is not going to help propel you forward and get you to the place where you ultimately want to be. Nathan and Emily Adopt said, we knew it was a possibility for sure. There were some feelings like maybe she would back out, but we had to move forward until she dropped out. Yeah. And sometimes you do have that sign. If you get that early enough in the process, that's a decision for you to make along with the social worker that's working with her in the agency. And if you're working with a consultant, and if you're far enough along, I have somebody right now who mom is due in like a week and we really don't know what's going to happen. A lot of circumstances came up all of a sudden and now is not the time to back out, right? She already has the money involved. She already has the time involved. She's already committed. Now she just has to wait. And sometimes that happens really late where, that decision really, the only decision is to just see it out at that point. Nathan and Emily Adopt said, yes, have had to tackle that blaming feeling. It pops up again every now and then, and I have to deal with it again. Yeah, it's hard. And you want to point fingers, but there's, unless there's really somebody to point fingers at and to blame or shame or whatever, which is really only if there's a scammer involved, in which case you've been played and you have every right to be angry. And there's still nobody to blame except for the scammer, right? We don't know as professionals. You would think, there are a lot of red flags. So that's why actually working with a consultant is better because An agency won't necessarily tell you what the red flags are, but a consultant will. And we can help you navigate that with the agency. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard. But I'm bringing this up also to give you a space to say, hey, hopeful adoptive parent, I see you, and it's okay to be sad and upset and angry for a minute and all of those things. And knowing that the expectant mom or the birth mom has every right to change her mind, all at the same time. And there will be a lot of people who come on if they choose to listen and say that's bullshit, they don't, they're stealing, whatever, all the negativity around adoption. And they have that right to feel that way too. Yes, have had to yeah. Hi, my little nephew, my tin man, my lion. So I hope that helps, and with something, if nothing else, just mindset. Two other things that I want to mention quickly before I go. Notice my beautiful mug that came from one of my team members. And what I love about it is this little heart inside. One of my team members bought me that. I love it. Hold on. Let me take a sip with my lip gloss on. It's caramel flavor. It's delish. Okay, the other thing is something that came up in our community chat is gifts, presents, gifts. What to buy as a gift for the birth? Well, there's 2 times, maybe more, depending on how. Oh, now I have balloons coming up on yeah. I use this other software to stream into other channels. And you know how on Zoom sometimes or on Google Meet that there's a setting that if you move your hands in a certain way, you might have fireworks or balloons or a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And I don't know what to do. I can never make it happen if I want. Has anybody ever had that happen? But I love it. It's like a surprise. No matter what I'm talking about, it could be the saddest things and balloons could go up and whatever. Okay, gifts, what to buy and when. So if you are matched with an expectant mom, and let's say it's during a holiday time, maybe you've been matched for a little while and it's Mother's Day or Christmas. It is totally okay. And I would also say I would never do anything without asking the agency what their thoughts are and if it's okay. But if you're matched during a holiday time, it's okay to acknowledge that. Send her a little card or some flowers or a little gift card saying, I'm thinking about you. Happy holiday. That's number 1. Number 2, if you are, I'm going to take out some things. First, if you are going to visit, I love this spray. It is Stress Check Mood Manager. Motion activated aromatherapy spray with ylang ylang. Anyways, by This Works. If they want to sponsor me, they can. It smells delish. If you're going for a visit, take a little gift. Same type of thing. What I like to do during a visit is buy something that might represent your city that you're visiting from, that you live in. So that might be a good gift for a visit. And for the adoption, and again, check with your agency, make sure it's okay with them. I would get them something a little bit more meaningful. And if the expectant mama has children, then get a small gift for the kids too. Books, coloring books, whatever. Hopefully, you know a little something about her and can personalize whatever you're going to get for her. A really great idea that we like to give our families is to get matching stuffed animals, like a matching teddy bear, or you could even do it with blankets or, something physical, something to get one for the baby and one for the mom, or if there's siblings, maybe one for the oldest sibling and one for the baby, so that they're always connected. That's a beautiful thing to do. You could do some of the other ideas were robes, slippers, snacks, and kind of make a basket of a well-being basket. You could do get her some comfort food while she's in the hospital. You can do jewelry, maybe more for Mother's Day. Some people, the argument, I did jewelry. Some people would argue you don't know if she likes jewelry or if she'd wear it or if she even wants to wear anything that would have anybody question what it was for her to have to explain. So think about that. Gift cards are always great. A handwritten note goes a long way, and I always suggest that. But ask the agency first. There's lots of ideas. And if you go onto Etsy, you can type in birth mom gifts, and there's all sorts of things now. So gifts. And also, if you adopted and finalized last year, don't forget about the adoption tax credit. You should file for it. And hopefully, if you qualify, I'm not going to go into that right now. If you finalized last year and you're doing your 2023 taxes, make sure you know about the adoption tax credit and if you qualify. If you don't want to know what I'm talking about, you have a best friend in Google or ChatGPT. I'm sure will tell you all the things. Talk to your accountant. Make sure they know what it is. If you worked with a consultant or an agency, ask them if they know what it is or go into one of these adoption groups. But don't miss out on that. Hopefully you already know about that. That's what I'm going to leave you with today. I'm stepping off of my soapbox and I'm going to bid you adieu as we go into the weekend. Bye, y'all. Have a great rest of the week. See ya. Thanks for joining.